scriptures say. So this is just the only hope is that Yahweh Shai is to come back. That's our only hope. That's why we continue consistently coming out here. That's why we do videos. That's why we endure the hell and everything that comes upon us, because we hope in deliverance, man. Because if this man is the true, if he's the ruler, man, we don't got no shot. We don't got no shot. We're looked at as the enemy. We're looked at as targets, human targets. These devils, they don't think highly of us. Man, Jake is low.
That's right. And it says,
matter of fact, that's the spirit. We're going to use the parable of Lazarus.
It says, and what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein. So whatever manner of man is in charge of the city, that's what the spirit of the people begin to follow. So you had over 4 years of Obama in rulership, and his spirit was faggot, his homosexuality stuff. So during his whole rulership was to push that agenda upon the people, legalizing LGBTQ. So now that is carried over to this next presidency. Well, what's the next spirit that's following? It's that contention against Jake. It's these so-called Edomites getting back to the supreme pride and coming and oppressing us. And that's the general consensus of general hatred of so-called white people. Now you can no longer just go and book a hotel somewhere without being suspect. If it's owned by a so-called white man, they'll turn you down just because you're a fucking Jake.
Right. Here's the thing, right? Even if you got you so-called devils out there, you may think you don't hate Jake. You may think, oh, I got black friends. I love black people. It don't matter. You got to go into slavery. Right. It don't matter, man. It does not matter. We don't care if you grew up in the middle of the hood. You got to be put in slavery. But you have a lot of so-called white people that have that spirit within their Jakes. Like, they don't see no difference between them and Jake because they are Jake. Right. But the thing is, you got devils that think that they're so cool and they want to be down spirit, but man, just get the fuck out of here with that shit. Because you're gonna go into slavery.
Right. And it says, verse 3, an unwise king destroyeth his people, but through the prudence of them which are in authority, the city shall be inhabited.
Right. That is what it takes to, ultimately govern a city and have your city. Because when you have a city that's inhabited, that means you have everything running in order. You got the women, they doing what they need to do. You got the men, they going to work, doing what they need to do. They have businesses, they go to the market and exchange to sell goods. And you got transportation coming in and out the cities to feed all the people. You got, networks of farming.
Right.
But under this devil, everything is fucked up. And here it is, that now they talking about food shortages. The supply is just fucked up. Because this devil, he mismanages every fucking thing.
Yeah. He based his whole rulership off of usury.
Yeah, usury.
This whole country was based off of a credit system where you owe so much amount of money on interest. So there's no way you can pay back. Everybody falls under that usury system. So nobody can truly be free.
Yep.
And even this country itself, the top leaders in this country is owned by a banking system under usury. Over $23 trillion in debt now, might be 24 trillion, probably more than that.
Yep.
So who are they indebted to? These elites, these Rothschilds, these bankers.
That shit is so idiotic, man. And it just pisses you off because how stupid these people are. What good you think is gonna come of your country being 23 trillion in debt? And it's going up trillions and trillions and trillions every fucking year. Right. Why don't you hold any president accountable to come and eliminate that debt? You an idiot, man. You a fucking idiot. You think money just come out of thin air? Right. And resources? No, it doesn't. You have to somehow, some way pay it back. And that's why these devils go into these different countries stealing resources. But here it is. How the fuck you steal half the oil in the Middle East, but your debt ceiling is going up?
Right.
Because the usury.
Then on top of that, you got plenty of oil already. They're just in stockpiles and stores.
Yeah, they got all the fucking resources, but how the fuck you in debt?
Damn devil, the scriptures say they can never have enough. Because if it was set up the right way, and if something hit, a righteous king would have things set up to be able to make sure the people are fed, make sure the people have money. If if there was something that hit. But this devil obviously can't do that. Now he's got to cut unemployment. You shouldn't have to cut unemployment if you didn't have a system that was built off of useful. And you really don't have money to even be paying these people. You're giving them fiat currency that has no weight, no value to it. Where's the actual gold that's in store that somebody should be able to take cash and say, I'm ready to withdraw all of my actual gold? You're not going to be able to do that. It ain't there. It's all lies. So it's fucked up. And if you people that are here and you're not understanding of how we are slaves, you should have an understanding of how we are slaves now. We're bringing the information out and telling you the type of systems that's set up. And when a country's in this much debt, the only way this damn devil knows how to get out of that debt is by continuing to steal, kill, and destroy.
That's right.
So that's why he's going in these other countries and he's invading. This is what the damn bomb that invaded is going to happen. You don't know the full details of the reason behind it, but you know you got something to do with it. You got a trade war with U.S. and China still going on.
You have anything else you want to do now?
Sure. No, that's good. 16 20. It's the book of Luke, chapter 16, verse 20. It says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores. Right,
and that beggar represents Israel, because Israel's condition is being low. It's being a beggar. You don't know when your next meal is. You gotta ask. You dependent on everyone else to help. Ain't that Israel? You know, we in the fucking, the government dependence systems and shit. Or what is it, the government benefits, government assistance, welfare, child support. They rely on this shit. They're beggars. You got to go to the so-called white man for a job, for the most part, because that word Lazarus goes back to Alazar, which means the Most High helps. Most High, in other words, the Most High help me. The Most High is my help, because he's coming to help the nation of Israel.
We're begging for employment right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Begging for food stamps.
Food stamps.
Begging for unemployment benefits.
Yep.
We've been begging for hundreds of years now. Begging for freedom. Begging for food.
That's right.
But going further, it says, and there was a certain beggar named Lazarus, which was laid at his gate full of sores, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table.
Right, and the rich man represents Esau right now, because he's the one that have accumulated all these riches. He's got the money, the gold, the land, the silver, the minerals, the trees. He got it on lock. So in order for us to get anything, we have to go to him.
And it says, and desiring to be fed with the crumbs which fell from the rich man's table. Moreover, the dogs came and licked his sores.
Right, and the dogs represent the other nations, because in our lower state, the nations, they feed off of us. They feed off of our resources, because then here it is, you get the paycheck from Esau, then you got to go to Moab to get some food. You got to get all these products that are made in China. You got to buy them for your household. You know what I'm saying? You got to go to these Hamite stores if you want some fragrances and shit. You got to go to Ammon and Moab when you want some technology. You want to buy an iPhone, you want to, buy different computers and shit. You get that technology from Moab. Right. Buy a Toyota that comes from Ammon.
You gotta go to Esau for a damn house. So yep. Pay rent at Esau for a phone.
Right.
Verse 22, and it came to pass that the beggar died. It was carried by the angels into Abraham's bosom. The rich man also died and was buried. And in hell he lifted up his eyes, being in torments, and seeth Abraham afar off, and Lazarus in his bosom. And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me.
Right, so he was crying because he's in slavery at that time. Because that death, death is a transition. just transitioning from this world to the spirit world. So this transition is from this kingdom to the next kingdom, which is Esau's kingdom to Jacob's kingdom. So in Esau's death, in the rich man's death, he's begging to be out of his position because he's gonna be in a low position. He's gonna be the new slave, the new workers. He's gonna be building houses and shit, picking cotton. So you're gonna want to cry out to somebody to save you, but nobody's gonna save you. Go ahead.
And he cried and said, Father Abraham, have mercy on me.
Right, he said Father Abraham because Esau actually comes from Abraham. Esau is a Semitic nation. The so-called Jews, they are so-called Semitic. And it really is Shum, right? But we'll just go with it. But the thing is, we're Semitic too, but we're the chosen people.
And it says, and send Lazarus that he may dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, for I am tormented in this flame. But Abraham said, Son, remember that thou art in thy lifetime receivest thy good things, and likewise Lazarus evil things. But now he is comforted, and
yes,
thou art...
Lazarus got fucked up. Lazarus was at the bottom. Like we said, his situation was deplorable. So these Edomites, they can't look to get themselves out of that situation because it's going to be their time for them to get messed up. Go ahead.
And it says, and likewise Lazarus evil things, but now he is comforted, and thou art tormented. And beside all this, between us and you, there is a great gulf fixed, so that which would pass from hence to you cannot, neither can they pass to us that would come from thence. Then he said, I pray thee therefore, Father, that thou wouldest send him to my father's house. For I have 5 brethren, that he may testify unto them, lest they also come into this place of torment. Abraham saith unto him, They have Moses and the prophets, let hear them. And he said, Nay, Father Abraham, but if one went unto them from the dead, they will repent. And he said unto him, If they hear not Moses and the prophets, neither will they be persuaded, though one rose from the dead.
Right, because these devils, no matter what goes on, they will never hearken unto what the scriptures say, because they're not the chosen vessels. They're not the vessels chosen for, glory. They're the vessels chosen to be destroyed. The vessels of dishonor, as we read earlier. So the thing is, no matter what, all the things are set in stone for you Edomites to be taken up. To have for when all in all is said, your kingdom will be stripped from you, and then you'll be a slave. Go to Genesis. I believe it's Genesis 7:15. That's what Esau. Because Esau's blessing is almost up.
Genesis chapter 27, verse 15. And Rebekah took goodly raiment of her eldest son Esau, which were in her house, and put them upon Jacob, her younger son.
Skip down to 28. That's it.
Genesis 27:28. Therefore Yahweh give thee the dew of heaven, and the fatness of the earth, and plenty of corn and wine.
I think that might be yeah, that's Jacob. That's read verse 34.
And when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, Bless me also, O my father. And
right, because at this time Jacob had already supplanted Esau for the birthright and the blessing. So he was hurt, man. He was hurt that he didn't get that firstborn blessing, because that was the blessing to actually be rulers of the universe. Go ahead. Hey, because it's like remember shit, the masters of the universe. That was a bit before our time and shit.
Right.
You had He-Man, Masters of the Universe. That's Jacob's blessing to be the new masters of the universe. You know?
And
Go
Esau
ahead.
didn't value that. You know,
So-
we're gonna read about him crying about it now, but he didn't care about his blessing.
Right.
So once he heard of how good it was, that's when he was like, oh man, Dang, don't you got a blessing for me? Bless me up. But wait a minute. You didn't care about it when you was hungry,
Right.
and you sold it over some food.
You do it away.
You threw away your blessing. You sold it. You said, what blessing does this have to do with me? That's what you said.
Right.
And he said, thy brother, actually I'll read verse 34, and when Esau heard the words of his father, he cried with a great and exceeding bitter cry, and said unto his father, bless me, even me also, my father. And he said, thy brother came with subtlety, and had taken away thy blessing. And he said, is not you rightly named Jacob? For he hath supplanted me these 2 times. He took away my birthright, and behold, now he had taken away my blessing. Or he's an idiot, because those 2 went hand in hand. The birthright was the blessing. That's what Esau didn't appreciate. And he didn't appreciate it until now, until you heard what the blessing actually was. And it says, and he said, hast thou not reserved a blessing for me? And Isaac answered and said unto Esau, behold, I have made him thy Lord, and all his brethren I have given to him for servants.
Right, so who does that include? It includes you. You're going to be our servant. Okay.
And with corn and wine I have sustained him. And what should I do now unto thee, my son? And Esau said unto his father, hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me, even me also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. He started crying like a little bitch now. Right? So verse 39, and Isaac his father answered and said unto him, behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth, and the dew of heaven from above. And by the sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have the dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And Esau hated Jacob because of the blessing wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand, then will I slay my brother Jacob.
Right, so that's Esau's spirit. That's why I said he gets the dew of heaven. That's why we spoke about how like how this devil what's his name? Epstein, he had that island out there in Virgin Island. Oh, nigga bought a whole fucking island, man. That's that level of dope. Because that dew of heaven basically represents him getting all the finer things in life. So he has the money and the power and everything to get what he wants. But that's only for a particular amount of time. Because the end all be all of Esau is destruction. Utter destruction. Let's get Revelation 13. Let's see about some.
This is the book of Revelation, chapter 13, verse 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints.
Right, so if you lead into captivity, you're going to go into captivity. This is what the saints are waiting for. We're not like people like fucking Vocab Malone. You know, looking to fucking, you know, he thinks the blessing is going to come upon all Christians.
Right.
No one has to pay throughout history, you know, everything, all the wickedness that happened in history, that's absolved through the blood of Christ. No. The thing about it is, you devils, you have to pay for what you did. This is recent history. This is the things that go on to this day. All these things, the Most High is a just God. There's gonna be payment for all these actions, man. It's payment. It's payback. Because if you make it, go to Proverbs 11. Because that, I'm going to say the false balance is an abomination. So for us to be sitting in this low position, being enslaved, being conquered, that's a false balance. The balances must be even. And the things being back into even is after Esau pays for all his actions.
Right.